Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Saturn making a square opposition or inconjunct aspect to one's natal Saturn. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Saturn, it can be about limitations, restrictions, responsibilities, duties, delays, sorrow, despondency, fear, inhibitions. And the thing about this is when you're basically having a transit Saturn, I should say, so transit Saturn basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Saturn. When I say basically adverse, I'm going to elaborate on that. Squares and oppositions in astrology, of course, are adverse negative aspects. But when you have an inconjunct aspect, it's seen as neutral. But it can have good and bad qualities to it, so it does have some bad qualities in it. Inconjuncts in astrology often involve an adjustment or transition. So, and those things can be a little bit exasperating and taxing. So it is basically collectively, I see it as an adverse transit. Now, again, when you have a transit Saturn basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Saturn, well, this may manifest in limitations, restrictions, responsibilities, duties, delays, sorrow, despondency, fear, apprehension, inhibitions. This could be those things. Those things can conflict with one's career. It might be a situation where you're trying to improve your stature in life. You're trying some new career. There may be a delay. And when I say trying, I should really say reiterate that trying for a new career. Well, actually, when you're actually going after a new career, pursuing a new career, there might be some delays in it, whether you put an application in or had an interview with a prospective employer and trying to do something different with your life. This could be a time where you might experience, some roadblock or some delay in this. Maybe there's some restriction in going after a new career. It might be something, maybe your credentials just aren't quite up to par as far as the prospective employer's eye goes. An authority figure might have a problem with it, your credentials. And the thing too is, Saturn is also connected with laborious work. And Saturn, remember that you're having transit Saturn, again, basically making an adverse aspect to your natal Saturn this time. It could be that Saturn can be connected with chronic illnesses and debilitating sickness or illness. It can be something where if you have something that's debilitating, you have a chronic illness, it might conflict or challenge hard work at this time and difficult, laborious work at this point in time. Say if you have like Capricorn involved, it can be something with construction or even general mundane work that is really it can take a toll on you, because the general mundane work sometimes can be very might have a strong physical aspect to it, just like doing like stocking in a store, working in some warehouse loading pallets. I mean, by hand. When the products come in off the truck. And the thing is, this could be a time also too. Remember, Saturn is also connected with the father. It's older people. So those people might present, more difficulty at this time. It can be a situation where you might have responsibilities to these people that might be taking a little bit toll on you at this time. Might be somewhat taxing. And say if you're taking care of debilitated father or older person well, it might be causing a little bit, it might impact you in a way where you're having more restriction or limitation in your own life, or maybe you feel at this time that you might even be limited or restricted in taking care of somebody that may be an older person, may be debilitated. Say if you have the transit or natal placement in the zodiac sign Cancer, you have it in the fourth house as an example. That could be something involving a debilitated debilitated family member in some cases. Again, Saturn is connected with chronic illness. It's something where at this time it might be you might be having more difficulty, in doing work because of this, or it could be some situation where it might be causing you more despondency and sorrow than usual, and you're looking at the just seeing the situation as so negative, and you might feel like things are hopeless, because remember, again, Saturn can be connected with chronic illnesses, and Saturn is also connected with sorrow, despondency. When you have the transit Saturn basically making an adverse aspect to natal Saturn, it may cause some issues where you're feeling more negative regarding it at this time, if you are if you have a chronic illness or sickness at this time. Now, Saturn is, anatomically speaking, is connected with the bones, the knees, joints, and hamstrings, and it can be a time too where these things, it might be harder to perhaps work through these problems at this time if you do have any issues with them. Again, Saturn is connected with laborious work. It can be something that's very trying to work through these issues at this time, especially if you're an older person and you're having to deal with these. If you just have these issues in general, regardless of age, Saturn is also, it is something where when you're talking about Saturn, it is hard work, and when you have adverse aspects involving this, things do seem to be more trying, I would say, for people, generally speaking. And the thing about this too is, and Saturn, I would say, could be, is associated with time. It's something where you might have more limitations in connection with the time to do things, or maybe things seem like they're going very slow at this time. It might be something that there's maybe some difficulty regarding time, and whether it's trying to accomplish something or dealing with matters with your career responsibilities. It could be where maybe you feel there's a lack of time in doing so, and it's one of those periods where you're saying, well, there's not enough hours in the day to do this. And Saturn is also connected with old age, and it might feel like maybe some cases where whatever you're doing seems like it's taking longer than it is. Like if you're involved in some very general mundane work, and it's something that you see as somewhat monotonous, it might seem like something that you're doing for 2 hours might feel like it's 4 hours. Can also be a time too when you're looking at Saturn is about concentration, and it might be where some cases you might be inundated with some responsibilities that maybe make it more difficult for you to focus or concentrate on things right now. Let's say if you have the transit let's say you have transit Saturn in Gemini, it could be where maybe you're getting, that could really reaffirm being inundated with manifold responsibilities and things to do that might be making it harder for you to concentrate on certain things at this point in time. And now Saturn, again, it is connected with fears, apprehension. It can be trying to maybe attain some success in your life, or trying some new career. It might be more of a fear at this time, more so than usual. Say if let's say you have the natal, let's say you have the natal Saturn in Libra. It might be some career possibility that might be associated with the law, or art, or acting, or something with maybe human resources, fashion design. It can be anything Libra related. Something working as a diplomat is another example, or an arbitrator. And those things you might be more fearful and apprehensive about at this time in terms of embarking perhaps on a new career. Saturn is also connected with obstructions, its delays, its roadblocks. Again, when you have this transit, It might even be harder to do laborious work. It might be some delay, in doing this. I mean, again, like taking the stock work as an example, or you're loading, boxes, off a truck that's supposed to come in, and loading them onto a pallet is a basic example. Maybe you're waiting on might be more greater propensity of having to wait on these orders to come in to actually do the work. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now, another way this may manifest, it could be where you're apprehensive regarding business, things that are career related. Say if the natal Saturn is in Taurus, as an example, maybe it's embarking on a career as a stockbroker, a pawnbroker, something with banking or finance in general this time, or architecture, agriculture, as some examples. It might be more of a laborious effort to just simply take care of responsibilities at this time. Say if the natal Saturn is in a Scorpio, it could be something with taxes, recycling, insurance. It could be something connected with transformation, whether maybe rebuilding a vehicle, as an example. It can be something too where, father, or an authority figure, an older person, may be more averse to things that you are concentrating on at this time. Say if the natal Saturn is in Aquarius, as an example, it could be something with astrology or electronics or even model rockets in some isolated cases. Computer devices. Now, another thing too is that at the time of this transit, you may have responsibilities that might actually conflict with other responsibilities. Say if Cancer and Capricorn is involved and an opposition in the transit, as an example, it could be matters with the home, which is the zodiac sign Cancer, opposing matters with career ambitions, which is Capricorn. Those things might, it might take a little bit of a toll on you. You may be in a, tug of war with those issues. Now, another thing too is that, again, chronic illnesses, debilitating sickness might exacerbate sorrow and despondency at this time. If you are, somewhat depressive at this time, or even if you're not, it might cause some, unexpected sadness and sorrow and negativity, even more so than usual at this time. Say if the transit Saturn is in Leo, as an example, it could be something with the heart, or the spine, or the upper back at this point in time. As some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.